Hi, I'm Ryanne Cunningham. For today's class, we are going to need 2 blankets, 2 light blue blocks, and maybe a strap. So kind of have all your props ready for you. And let's start out in downward facing dog. So let's just warm up the body a little bit. Lift the hips up high. Make sure your fingers are splayed wide apart and your palms are flat, even onto the mat. And just maybe move the body a little bit, kind of wake everything up. Head, chest through the arms a little bit, hips up high. Start to lengthen your breath. Good, and relax your heels down. Let's come forward to a high plank. And then with your next exhale, when you take your right hand as you enter into back to down dog, tap the outer left ankle. Back to high plank, inhale, left hand, outer right ankle, down dog. So let's just keep moving like this. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Keep moving on your own with your breath. Doesn't have to be too fast. Just really waking up our lower body, the hamstrings, the whole backside of our body, including our shoulders. Finish up on the left side. And back to high plank. Lower down to hands and knees. Stack the shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. We're going to do a few rounds of cat and cow. So let's do traditional cat and cow. I really want us to wake up our spine, our back, our shoulders, our neck in our traditional cat and cow. So inhale, relax the belly down, tilt the tailbone up, shoulders back, chest forward, look up, exhale. Good, and as you do so, really find this cow spine. You can even pull your wrist back towards your knees, knees towards your wrists, find a longer spine, and then exhale. Move slow. A few more rounds. Good. Next inhale, let's bring it back to our down dog. Exhale, then lift the hips to your down dog. And again, pedal your heels. Turn your heels out, toes in. Parallel the feet. All right, now let's wake up that lower body a little bit more. Take your right leg, sweep it straight up. Step it forward to the outside of your right hand for this low crescent lizard pose. Bend that front knee forward, extend that back leg back, hips lower, head, chest up, down dog. Left leg, same thing, straight up, outside of that left hand. Engage your back leg, right knee up into the quad, downward facing dog. Switch sides. So just keep moving side to side. And again, no rush. Just wake up the body, breathing. Let's finish up with our left side. And back to our down dog. Good, and down dog. Let's relax down to both knees, knees together, and then curl your toes under. Take a seat on your toes. All right, and just relax there for a moment. Good, settling in, shoulders back, open that chest. Take the arms, extend the arms out of your shoulders. Let's take our right arm under our left. So elbows meet, circle those arms around, eagle arms. Now if you can't meet the palms, no big deal. Try to hook a finger. That's all you have to do. Now as we do this, keep your shoulders down away from the ears, broaden the collarbones, then take your elbows and forearms and push them forward. If you have a little extra space, take the forearms and hands a little bit more forward and lift them up towards the ceiling. Good. Couple deep breaths here, holding, breathing. Try to stay in your toes if you can. Now as we hold this, let's add a little bit of mobility. You can hold the pose. Otherwise, look at your forearms and have them be like windshield wipers. Rotate them to the right, rotate them to the left, Don't move your body or your shoulders, just move the forearms and hands side to side. Good, let's slow this movement down, release, and then you're gonna uncurl the toes, so lift your hips up, take a seat on those ankles, release the arms, circle the arms around behind you, interlace your fingers, try to get the palms together, open the chest, so shoulders go back, bra on the collarbones, try to squeeze those shoulder blades together, belly in, and lift the arms. Holding, lift the hips, curl those toes back under again, take a seat on your toes, try to stay on those toes, release the arms back out in front of you, eagle arms with the left arm underneath the right. Bend the elbows, wrap those arms around. Same thing, shoulder blades down, bra on the collarbones. Push the elbows and forearms forward. If you have that little extra space, push those forearms forward. Then lift everything up. And if you can, windshield the forearms side to side. Just those forearms and hands. Good. Slow that movement down. Lift the hips, uncurl the toes again. Sit on your ankles. Release the arms wide. Circle those arms around. Interlace the fingers. Open that chest up. Good. And let's release. Let's take our way back to a downward facing dog. In this down dog, pedal your heels. Good. Let's take a high plank. And at this high plank, slowly either drop the knees or straight body, but lower all the way down to your belly. Uncurl the toes. Separate the legs just a tad bit further apart. Maybe the feet a little bit wider than the hips. Circle the arms around. Interlace your fingers. Try to get those palms together again. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Knuckles back. And you're going to expand your chest forward. Squeeze your glutes. Float that chest up. Maybe lift the arms up also. Both legs float up also. Cobra pose. Good. Palms underneath the shoulders for a child's pose. All right, downward facing dog. All right, in our down dog, we're gonna take a pyramid pose. So sweep your right leg up, step your right foot forward behind the right wrist, grab a light blue block. And remember in our pyramid pose, we're gonna take a little hop forward with that back foot and hop it to the left. The back heel angles down, so the toes are probably gonna point up to your upper left corner of your mat. And let's just stand tall. Feet are about hip width apart, they're not in line. All right, so a little bit of hamstring and a little bit of thoracic twisting, a little thoracic mobility work. Put a bend in this front knee, hips are gonna go back, hinging at your hips, lead with the spine, so collarbones lengthening forward, and take your hands down to this block. And have the block, the front of your block may be in line with your toes. Extension of your spine, shoulders back, outer edge of this back foot firm into the mat. Straighten your right leg out. Keep that long spine. So if your hamstrings are a little bit more open, maintain the length of your spine. Work your way down or no hands on a block. But we will be using a block no matter what, okay? So have that block ready. I'm gonna show you from this angle so you can see the whole side of the block with the movement. So I really want you to find the extension of your spine, ball this front big toe down, right hip back, outer edge of this back foot down. You can have a little bit of a bend here, but don't have a deep curve of a hyperextension. We don't want that. So feel this hamstring, nothing in the knee. All right, give this hamstring a little break by bending that knee. Find the extension of your spine, so really lengthen through those collarbones. Square your hips up more, pull your belly in, and let's re-straighten this right leg out. Keep the extension of the spine. Right palm resting up against the block on this side of the block right here. This will be your inhale. Now your exhale, you're going to sweep your right arm up to the ceiling, open your chest up to the right. Inhale, tap this block. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, hold. And bring that right hand back down. Bend this right knee. Block off to the side. If you want to run through vinyasa, take that. Down dog or child's pose. Good. If you're in child's pose, work your way to down dog. Down dog, sweep that left leg straight up. Step it forward to the behind the left wrist. Grab your block. Back foot, hop it to the right and slightly forward. And let's take our torso tall. All right, so just find the alignment of the feet first, hip width apart. Put a bend in this front knee, square everything up, lengthen your spine, hinging at your hips, hands down to the block. Good, smooth out that breath. Make sure the outer edge of that back foot is firm into the mat, so keep that back leg engaged. Straighten this front leg out. Follow this front big toe, pressing into the mat, left hip back. All right, put a bend in this front knee, give this hamstring a little bit of a break. Good, square everything up, feel the engagement of the legs, belly in, extension of your spine. Then straighten this left leg out for a thoracic mobility. Left palm onto the block. Right hand, pick any level too that you want. Just keep your hips squared up. So right hip is lifting up as we exhale the twist to our left. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more, we're gonna hold. Inhale and exhale. Keep that back leg engaged, right hip lifting as you twist to your left. And let's release down, bend that front knee, palms of the block, vinyasa, down dog, or take a child's pose, breathing. All right, let's bring it back down to hands and knees. Again, traditional cat and cow. So definitely try to hang with our traditional cat-cow right now because we are going to be using this movement in a little bit. So you're basically just warming up your back and your spine for a movement coming up shortly. All right, and let's neutralize our spine. I'm going to have you step your right foot forward to the outside of your right hand. Now, if you need to cushion your back knee, that's where that extra cushion is going to come into. I'd like us to find a lunge, a nice low lunge. So take both hands tall onto this right thigh, sink into your lunge, shoulders back, belly in. All right, and now both hands back down to the mat on the inside of this right foot. Now I'd like you to turn the ball of the right foot to the right, flex the toes, roll to the outer edge of this right foot. So a half pigeon pose. Sink a little bit deeper into this pose, head, chest up. Always maintain the flexion of these toes up. Flexion protects the knee. Extension of your spine. And I want you to push your hips a little bit to the right, and then back to center, and then a little bit to the right. For some, maybe use a block. Take the forearms down to a block, forearms down to the floor, but just a little bit of movement. You're probably only moving maybe a half inch with the hips, but you're not going to the left. You're starting at center and pushing those hips to the right. Starting at center, pushing to the right. Flexion of these toes, flexion of this foot, adding pressure down on the outer edge of this right foot into the mat, Slight lift of this right knee. Extension of the spine forward. Back to center, to the right. Good. Walk it up to the hands. Step back, down dog right away. And let's do that left side. Left foot forward, chest tall, sink into your lunge. Hands to the mat, flexion of this front foot, roll to the outer edge of this front foot, sink down, and then same thing. Push the hips to the left a little bit, back to center, to the left. Just maintain that flexion the whole time. Foot and toes. If you use the block and you were a little bit deeper, take that option too. Good, walk it all the way up, downward facing dog. Good, pedal your heels out in your down dog. All right, so back to the right side again. So this time, step your right foot forward on the inside of your right hand. Back knee stays lifted. Then you're going to flex these toes. So you're bringing your right foot in a little bit closer. Flex these toes, roll to the outer edge of this right foot. Back knee is lifted. As you can see, my knee's not on the floor. Sink down. Lift this right knee. So you're pressing the outer edge of this right foot. Don't let this knee just collapse off to the right. Keep it slightly up. Sink your hips, engage your back knee up into the quad, head, chest up, and then push your hips to the right. So it's a little bit more of a piriformis stretch on that right side. Push your hips to the right. Press firmly into the outer edge of this right foot. Right knee slightly lifted, hips are sinking down and going to the right. So maybe you have a little bit more space to push your hips more to the right, but you're going from center to the right, center to the right. Gently lift this knee up, step back, down dog, left side. Left foot on the inside of this left hand, flex that foot, roll to the outer edge, same thing. Center, hips move to the right, center to the right. Press the outer edge of that left foot, into the mat and lift that left knee up slightly. Hips sinking, so don't let your hips be up here as you do this movement. You're not gonna get into this. Good, and downward facing dog. Paddle those heels out. If you need a child's pose, take that now. Breathing. Okay, drop down to your knees. All right, so this next movement that we're gonna do, I really wanted to warm up the outer hips a little bit because we're going to focus a lot on the inner hips in our frog pose. So we are going to take frog with, we're going to do some stretching and mobility work. So in your frog pose, make sure you prep up, have cushion for your knees. You always want to protect your knees. So definitely have that ready for yourself. Have a block nearby or a bolster too if you feel like you might be needing that bolster. All right, so start on hands and knees. So again, let's come back to cat and cow. So inhaling, exhaling. Notice your cow spine. Cow right here. Tailbone up, head, chest up, belly's engaged. Find that cow spine and then exhale round. Let's come to a neutral spine. From here, you're gonna walk your knees apart onto your blankets. Okay, be able to flex the feet. And just kind of walk your knees apart. You're gonna start here with the hands, okay? So as you're flexing the feet apart, let's just get into the frog pose, just the whole stretch for a moment. Walk down to your elbows. Good, and if you have a little extra space, as we hold this, I'd like you to push your hips back. Push your hips back. Don't worry about the chest and head going down. I actually don't want it to go down onto the floor. I want you to feel your tailbone lifting up, find your cow spine. So your belly button goes down, tailbone up, and cow spine is that lumbar curve of your low back, the low back curve. So take your hips up towards the ceiling, belly down, press into your elbows, head, chest up, and now push your hips back towards your feet. Frog pose, breathing. Good. Now we're not coming out of the pose, but I would like you to walk up to your hands. Allow your hips to come forward out of the pose. Take your feet, point the toes, bring your big toes together to touch. Now do not lose that cow spine, or your cow spine. So tailbone up, find that lumbar curve, head, chest up. Let's push our hips back towards our heels. So try to find that seat, and then bring your hips forward, and then push your hips back a little bit closer towards your heels. Now if you're rounding like this, you're not in the pose. You want to find that cow spine, hips come forward, push them back, hold. Keep breathing. Good. And let's walk the hands forward. Again, flex your feet, bring them back in line with those knees. You can stay on your hands if you'd like, or lower back down to the forearms. All right, so tailbone up, lumbar curve, find that cow spine. We'll start out with just the right leg. So my right leg, which you can see right now, you're gonna press the right knee down into your blanket, flexion of that right foot, internal rotation. So lift your right foot up as high as you can, pushing it into that knee. If you have a little extra space, maintain your cow spine with control. Tap the floor, back up. That's 2. Tap the floor, back up. 3, lower. 4, let's do one more after this. 5, hold it, hold the lift, hold the lift, hold the lift. Lift up a little bit higher. Take your elbows, forearms, push into the mat, and push your hips back towards the back of your mat. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Relax that down. Left side right away. Lift that left foot up, in, add that rotation, into rotation, back down. So we have 5 of these. 2, 3, 4, one more, we're gonna hold that. 5, good, push your hips back towards the back of your mat for 3, 2, lift up a little bit higher, 1. All right, walk your knees in. Let's take a child's pose. Good, settle in, relax, take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, come back to your breathing. Good, let's work our way to a downward facing dog. So in your down dog, pedal your heels. Just because this will probably feel really good, let's run through a vinyasa really quick. So high plank, and let's do this together. High plank, chaturanga down halfway. Let's hold our upward facing dog. So expand the chest forward, really open that chest up. Look over your right shoulder at your right heel. Lower that left thigh down, and then same thing over that left side. Good, drop the knees for child's pose. And we're gonna do some thoracic twisting after all of that. So work your way down to your block, or down to your back. All right, grab your light blue block, or I'm sorry, grab any block that you have. The studio has light blue blocks. So let's grab our yoga block. Place our yoga block between our knees. Now definitely listen to your body too. Sometimes like if your neck, you're feeling any discomfort in this pose, grab a blanket or another block, place something underneath your head. Make yourself comfortable in this. But also take a peek and just notice that my knees are at a 90-degree angle. So notice my knees aren't below my hips, they're in line with my hips. So my knees are right in front of my hips, ankles and knees, everything's lined up. Now the block, you're not squeezing. Don't engage your adductors in this pose, especially just coming out of our frog pose too. You're hugging it, you're holding onto it, because what you don't want to happen in this pose is this top knee and hip to be moving back and forth like this. So hug the knees together, holding onto the block. Keep your hips and knees stable. Thoracic spine, this is your thoracic spine, your mid-back. We don't want to be feeling the low back, especially after all those cat and cows that we were doing. We don't want to, and hanging out in cow pose. We don't want to feel that. Maintain thoracic. So your right arm, extend it out of the right shoulder, stack your hands. Take your left hand, slide it past that bottom hand. This is your inhale. And reach out for the ceiling. Exhale. Again, don't let that top knee and hip move. Tap the floor behind you. Again, inhale. Exhale. Again, 5 of them. So 3 more on your own. No discomfort in the back, low back. 5th one we're going to hold. So let's hold this one. So just a really nice way to kind of stretch out the shoulder, wake up this thoracic spine. And let's bring it back. And you can hold on to your block. All you got to do is just lift the knees up and roll over to your left side. And let's just do the same thing. 5 on the left side. And just move slow with the breath, knowing that we're going to be holding at the end. 5 of them. Good. Hold that 5th one. Good. And let's bring it back to center. Take the block off to the side. I'm just going to have you roll on up to a seat. All right. So at your seat, we're going to get into the wide leg, a seated wide leg, and we're going to do some mobility too. So if you need some elevation for your hips, if the hamstrings are feeling really tight, go ahead and grab bolster, blanket, whatever you think you might need, and take a seat on your mat and take those legs wide apart. All right. Okay, so in this pose, maybe grab 2 of your blocks, use them for your forearms is what we're going to use them. But again, we want the extension of our spine. I'd like you to go ahead and just walk your hands forward, walk your blocks forward, and see if you can just rest your forearms on the block. Now for some, this is just not their favorite pose. No problem. Take your hands behind you. All I'd like you to do is just to find the extension of your spine, so the lift of the sternum and broadening of the collarbones. Hands will be behind you. Press into the palms, fist, or fingertips behind you, and just lift the spine tall to the ceiling. So shoulders back, collarbones are broad, and then take your torso, take your chest and your torso and just lean it forward. This is perfect. You're going to get the same stretch as the rest of us are, wherever you are. So if you feel like, all right, holding that, you might have a little extra space, take your hands out in front of you. Keep the chest open, keep the spine long. Otherwise, if you have a little extra space, maybe try these blocks tall. Don't round. You don't want to round. Lengthen, lengthen. Good. Now let's just walk it up. Let's just take the blocks behind us right now. If you need a break, we're going back into this. Take a quick break if you need that. You can move the knees side to side if you need to. Otherwise, we're going right back into that. So take those legs wide apart. All right, so if you feel like bringing the hands forward isn't working for you today, not a big deal. All I'm going to have you do is do the same thing. Find the extension of your spine, open the chest, chest forward, chest back, chest forward, chest back. That's your movement. Option 2, for those that have a little bit more space, hands in front of you, walk the hands as far forward as you can without rounding. So gaze forward, walk it back, walk it forward, walk it back. So as we do this, don't let your toes fully collapse inward. If you need to, you can push through the balls of the feet. You can point the toes, but keep your quads engaged. Walk forward, walk back. So let's just keep doing this. See how far you can go. Keep going. So you're not holding the pose, you're just moving at those hips. Try to keep those knees lifted, try to keep the quads engaged. Just going forward and bringing it back. One more. Let's hold this one. So if you have a little bit more space, find the extension of your spine. Chest forward. You can go all the way down. And let's bring it all the way up. Good. Knees together. Hug your knees in. All right, let's keep this left knee bent. Take your right leg off to the right. All right, so just hold. Okay, sit up tall. And I'd like you to do is to turn over at your left thigh right now. Flexion of the right foot, okay? Now what's happening, maybe for some, this might be where you see that you might need a bolster. Take your right hip down, chest tall. And hands can be wherever it helps, a little bit comfortable. If you feel like a little bit too much of a, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be mirroring you, too much of a twist over your, let's say your left thigh, go ahead and just ease up on that twist a little bit. But tighter flexion in this right leg, tighter flexion. Okay, so as we hold here, belly in, long spine, let's take an internal rotation of this right leg. And then an external rotation of this right leg. So as you're taking an external rotation, don't turn with it. Keep your spine tall. And then internal, external. And the only thing I want you to be moving is from this hip all the way down. Belly in, palm fist or fingertips pressing into the mat, full body engagement. Even feel this left thigh maybe pressing down also. Toes and knee moving in line. Don't let your foot be doing all of the work. Good. Slow that down, relax, let's switch. Same thing. And if you have been cramping, cramping is very normal during mobility. And then we're just going to slow this down, lean back onto your hands, separate the feet mat width apart, and you're going to do a little bit of that bear crawl, so make sure your knee and feet are not touching. Lift your right knee up, over to the right, left knee follows, same thing. Keep the knees pushing apart as you rotate from side to side. As you get to one side, press both knees down, keep your chest lifted. So some internal and external rotation today with those hips, thoracic mobility and shoulder mobility. So a lot of good work, good stretching. So since it was a lot of lower body, maybe finish up with your bear crawl rotation. Go ahead and lay down on your back, and we're just gonna finish up with elevating our legs. So you're gonna recline down onto your back. You can also do this up against the wall too if you prefer, but lift your hips up. Slide a block underneath your hips. Take both legs straight up. Relax your arms down along your sides. So a couple of little tricks that you can do while holding on the block. If you're up against the wall, you're going to be a little bit more restricted with this. But on a block, just make sure your hips are comfortable, so adjust the block where you don't feel like you're falling off the block and you don't feel like you're having a discomfort in your back too. So relax the arms down. So one thing I like to do is a little bit of ankle mobility and just really moving the feet, kind of like in a square. Your toes are pointing to the inner upper corners of the square, lower corners of the square, outer lower corners, upper, and just find that rotation. And reverse that. And then let's do some pointing and flexing. Breathing. Good. And let's relax that. So you can continue doing more of that if you'd like. So a nice little hip flexor stretch too is you're going to bend your right knee to your chest, hug it into that right shoulder, straighten your left leg down. Either heel of the left leg touches the mat or foot of the left foot. But try to find length in that left leg as you hug this right knee in. And then you're welcome to switch. You can keep switching if you'd like, if that feels really good throughout these hip flexors. So as you can lengthen both legs out, stretch your arms out overhead. Just getting a nice stretch throughout the entire body and giving yourself a little bit of a back bend too. And then let's return with the legs back up. And this, if this feels good, definitely hold longer if you'd like, 5-10 minutes. Great way to flesh out the legs, your system, re-energize you, but also at the same time it calms the nervous system as well. So one of my favorite poses. All right, and then to exit out of this pose, I'm just going to have you lower your feet back down, lift your hips, remove that block, hug the knees into your chest, maybe rock side to side. If you're feeling any discomfort in the back still, please take a spinal twist, an easy one. Knees, just relax off to the right, look to your left. Do the same in the other direction. Maybe if you feel like you could use a little bit of a happy baby pose, this one generally neutralizes that low back area, kind of what we're focusing on in our frog pose. Hug the knees back in, and we're going to take a relaxation from here. So lengthen the legs down, separate the legs mat width apart, arms along the sides, turn your palms face up, and you're welcome to take this relaxation as long as you would like. I would recommend at least 5 minutes, if not longer, 10 or 15. And you take your relaxation as long as you would like. So thank you for this practice today. Namaste.